Hey guys, Desolator Magic here, and Wizards dumped a mountain of spoilers on us, so I'm only going to make extensive comments on the ones that are terrifically significant. So first up, we got Citywide Bust. What is going on with that artwork? There's just a lot to break down, but we don't have time. So, sorcery speed, triple cost, destroy all creatures with toughness 4 or greater. Oh my god, in the right deck, that's an asymmetric board wipe 4/3. Problem is it has to go in the right deck, so it could be good, could be not. We'll have to see what develops. I mean, there's not much more to say past that. It's the polar opposite of Ritual of Soot or whatever, which kills everything mana cost 3 or below, though, so should be interesting. Next up, Beinhaus Troll, all one word because it's German. Did you know that the #1 thing assembled in Germany is not Volkswagens, it's actually words? So this card is absolutely insane. So it's a 4/4 for 3 with trample. Just keep that in mind. And at the beginning of your upkeep, exile a creature card from your graveyard. If you do, put a 1/1 counter on it. If you can't, then sacrifice it. So one of those, oh, haha, it's kind of cumulative upkeep, woo, which they said was never coming back, and here it is. Foreshadowing. Anyway, you pay black and green and discard a card, which is probably a creature, then put a 1/1 counter on Corpse Troll. So if it was a creature, you're really putting all your eggs in one basket, but it's a giant trampler. If they don't destroy this, they are going to lose the game because of this. Here's the problem. Everybody's thinking, oh, I could get it out super early because it costs 3, and then lose it almost immediately. You have to have built up a giant graveyard presence. So for this to actually really just dominate the game, it would have to be set up and go so perfectly for the first couple turns. And I'll say, if you tossed a couple creature cards in the graveyard with his ability just to keep him going for more than one turn, boy, you're emptying your hand real quick, and then somebody blows this up, you're done. So it's like stupidly overpowered while also being dangerous and unstable to use, which just means it's honestly a poorly designed card. The funny thing is, this is the card to run in a Dimir Golgari hybrid graveyard resurrection undergrowth self-mill surveil deck. I'm really starting to think that'll be a thing. If you had recurring surveillance, like I think there's like a 1 or 2 cost flying thing that surveils like every time it swings or something, there you go. So next up, another German card I'm not even going to try. This is Crowell Scavenger. I guess Crowell isn't that hard. Although I will say, the last word in that appears to be griefer, which is hilarious. Apparently he goes on Xbox Live and blasts music through the mic. So this is a 5 cost 4/4, so but then Undergrowth, when it enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life for each creature or card in your graveyard. So, I mean, even if this was like 6, it's still not a great creature and you're kind of overpaying, but it's kind of offset by the fact that green ramps, but is this even worth it? Are there better cards in green for 5? Yeah. And instead of, oh, I'm going to put this in so that I can life gain so I can stop losing the game, why don't you instead spend 5 mana on starting to win the game? All that little bit of life gain is going to do is buy you a turn. Totally not worth it. Now, green-white resplendent, now we're talking, but I don't think that'll be a thing. So next up, discovery or dispersal. So this first one is insane. It's sorcery speed, who cares? So it's a cantrip. I mean, yeah, it's 2 costs, but come on, it's hybrid. It's kind of a cantrip. You know, a true cantrip costs 0, but there's like almost none of those. So surveil 2, so basically scry 2 and feed your graveyard, then draw a card. So boom, this automatically just replaces itself, and whatever surveil triggers you got going, great. So this is basically, you know, almost read the bones, but not really, almost glimmer, but not really, kind of anticipate, that's probably the closest you're gonna get. Not quite up to like ponder or brainstorm levels, but add in the fact that you could get some, hey, every time you surveil blah triggers, this card is insane. So this will be in every single Dimir surveil deck, because it's just an automatic include. You're practically playing with 56 cards at that point, because it replaces itself. You fix your next couple turns. I mean, it's the perfect card. On the other side, we've got Markiplier. That's weird. So it's a 5 cost instant, and each opponent returns a non-land permanent they control with the highest converted mana cost among permanents they control, which is a really weird way to phrase that, but whatever, to its owner's hand, then discards a card. So if they had nothing in hand, ha ha ha, you just destroyed it. Wow. 5 cost destruction spell, are you kidding me? You can't even choose the target. I mean, basically, if something is being really annoying and it just coincidentally happens to be the biggest thing out, or the most expensive thing out, then okay, like this would be pretty good, but it's not very good. But the whole point is the left side, and then the right side is highly conditional. But under the right circumstances, do the right one and kaboom, you know, you can do some damage. So yeah, I mean, this is just a damn good card. Next up, Divine Visitation. People are calling this the new Anointed Procession because people are stupid. This is a 5 cost mythic enchantment. Hello, it's got angels on it, so take a guess what it does. So if one or more creature tokens would be created under your control, that many 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance are created instead. So you take your little 2/2 whatever, your 1/1 vampire, your 1/1 soldier, your green white vigilant lifelink elf knight. I don't remember what's in this set. I mean, hey, sapperlings, hello. Whatever you're gonna get, boom, vigilant flying 4/4. And the vigilance is huge because it can block ground stuff while also hitting very hard and probably unopposed because there's not that many flyers in standard right now. So it's good, but is it 5 mana and do absolutely nothing on the turn it came out good? Probably not. We're also losing Oketra's Monument and like servo dumps and like SRAM's Expertise, which is another servo dump. I don't know. I think for 5 you could do better. I mean, this is like pretty good, but I don't know. It's a fun, like, kind of gimmicky endgame for a Convoke deck, but I don't know. It doesn't strike me as amazing, but this would be really fun in, like, Commander and stuff. Oh my gosh. Next up, Errata the Silencer. You know you read that as errata the first time you read it, just as well as I did. They have to retroactively fix aka errata so many damn cards because they're people in R&D and playtesting and card design all simultaneously can't do their jobs. So hey, why not name a legendary vampire assassin errata? Oh, I wish Wizards was that self-aware. So this is a 3/5 for 4. I totally forgot what it does because right in the middle of reading this, I lost power because there's a storm. And that's why we're on take 2 of this. So let's see. It can't be blocked, and it's a 3/5, but it's not flying, despite having a cape and being a vampire. So, yeah. So it's unblockable, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, exile target creature that player controls, and put a hit counter on that card. Is this a good time to mention that the original game rules, I'm like 99% sure, said when a card is removed from game, it is no longer a permanent, or it's in the exile zone, so either way, you can't interact with it in any way, and you can't place a counter on it? Yeah, can we go back to this? All this, let's interact with how much stuff is in exile. Let's bring it back from exile. They're just treating it like any other zone. Remove from game means remove from game. Piss off with that crap, okay? When you take an extra turn and the card gets exiled, that means you're never supposed to have it back ever until the next game starts, okay? Remove from game was very important, Wizards. Leave it that way. Now that said, this honestly isn't that bad. That player loses the game if they own 3 or more exiled cards with hit counters on them. So it's not even about the counter, it's just, they could have done it without counters and just said if this exiles 3, I guess not different cards, just 3 cards in general, then they lose the game. So it's like those assassin tokens that Vraska likes to bring out, except you have to hit the person 3 times. So 3 strikes and you're out. Now, they did have this very interesting thing for multiplayer, which, yeah, this is pretty fair, actually, honestly. So this is all one triggered ability, that whole paragraph. So it ends with, I'll just gotta call her errata. Errata's owner shuffles errata into their library. So if you exile a card, and then if they lose the game, if they own 3 or more exiled cards with hit counters on them, then she gets shuffled into their library. I believe that's the way that like is written. I think that's chronologically correct. I don't know. It's hard to say. Very odd way to phrase it. So basically, if you beat somebody by making them lose the game that way, then you have to shuffle her into your library so that you can't beat the next person that way. So this is annoying, but I mean, she doesn't even have haste. So, I mean, is basically 4 turns enough time to give your opponent like time to blow this up? Because you guys know I hate stuff where it's like you drop it into play and then wow, they have to deal with it immediately or they lose the game. Especially if it costs less than 6. I mean, 6 is my cutoff. If you got to 6, okay, bring out a big threat. Okay. Well, this costs 4, so they're really pushing it, but I mean, instead of just, I'm basically going to win next game or next turn if you don't do something like Gulta, which costs 2. Now, my only issue with this would have been if they let you exile a land, but it says exile target creature. So you can't get rid of an enchantment or an artifact that could, shut her down or whatever. And who cares about creatures? I mean, she can't be blocked anyway. So what are you going to get rid of the only blocker? And then it's an after effect of hitting anyway. So, I mean, unless you have something, if you did have something that says like tap, destroy target creature, sack this creature, little take it with me kind of creature, you probably would have done it the second she hits the battlefield. So, I mean, that's just kind of ensuring that you don't win the game in the meantime while she's out. That's the strategy there. So I don't think this is overpowered, and holy crap, it's a miracle they actually put legendary on something that clearly should be legendary. I can't believe it. Too bad they didn't do it for that meeting of the guilds bullshit. So yeah, I mean, it's an alternate win condition, but it's one of the more fair ones I've seen. I think they just need to stop printing bullshit like this, like, ever. I just want to win by getting somebody below 20, the end, but whatever. If people think this mixes up the game and makes it interesting, then whatever. I'm just going to blow it up. So next up, we got a foreign card. Nobody really knows what this translates to, I guess. They have it listed as Final Bortune or Bortune. I mean, if it's Japanese... Well, it wouldn't be a Japanese proper noun. It started in English, and they gave it a very common, readable, identifiable name in English, then made it go to Japanese, so shouldn't it translate back? I mean, I looked it up. That's not a real word. So I don't know what the name of this card is, and neither does anybody on the internet. But it's mythic and it's Boros, so let's have some fun with it. So creatures you control, by the way, it's a 3-cost instant. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. Take an extra turn after this one. At the beginning of that turn's end step, you lose the game. Oh, good, because Glorious End was just played by everybody. Well, this time around, we don't have Gideon's stupid bullshit emblem, so that's nice. Literally the only deck I saw a Glorious End in was the Gideon deck. So, I mean, you better be damn confident you're going to win, but if you just wiped the board of everything with toughness 4 or greater, and you're swinging away with your mentor deck, taking an extra turn and extra combat unopposed, yeah, you're going to win. So, I think we're going to see this in some stuff. I mean, it's sketch, and it's in just beyond dead card in your opening hand. My issue with it is it only works if you're already winning. Like, if you can't win the game on your very next turn, then you're going to lose the game. If you would have won by taking an extra turn, them drawing one more card off the top of their deck is probably not going to turn the entire damn game around. So to me, this is completely worthless without a you can't lose the game card, and I feel like there's one still in standard, but I don't remember what it is. I don't know, whatever. I just think this is kind of, honestly, a wasted mythic. If anybody actually wins the game this way, it's a real crap way to win the game, too. I mean, it's kind of a dick move, so all around, I absolutely hate this. Next up, hey, it's in English, although I don't know what GERD means. I assume that means they're wearing girdles. It means put on a girdle for battle. That's definitely what it means. So it's a 1-cost sorcery, and just straight up put a 1/1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. That'll work great with Mentor, especially like the creatures that have Mentor, because boom, now their attack is greater. So this is really important, and it's honestly just a good card all around, like regardless of Mentors. So yeah, I really like this. I mean, this is kind of like heroic, but more direct, and you don't need a heroic creature out. I mean, this reminds me of that Phalanx Leader thing. I mean, this is honestly like twice as good as Bolster. Like, there is precedent for something like this being very good, so I think people are going to play this. Next up is Haws Marshall. I'm going with the Dutch pronunciation because I don't know where they get these words. Probably neither do they. Whenever Haws Marshall, which is a 1/1 for 1 by the way, and at least 2 other creatures attack, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token with lifelink. That's a mechanic. I just forgot what it is. It was really recent too. I guess it was crap and nobody did it. Wasn't it like Battalion or something? I don't know, whatever. What, are they gonna manually spell out menace too now? Like, you made it into a keyword. Put it on the damn card. So, I mean, this is cool. It would be kind of okay in a Convoke deck. I think it's going to get itself killed, but at least you'll get a soldier with lifelink out of it. It's marginally better than a 1/1 for 1, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe in like a Leonin deck it would be kind of cool. I don't know. It doesn't strike me as amazing, but, you know, then again, it's a human soldier. So we're seeing a lot of that. There's got to be some kind of subtype tribal thing going on there. We'll see. Next up, Hatchery Spider. This is a 7-cost without Convoke, so absolutely unplayable. Let's move on from that. 5/7 with Reach, because apparently all spiders have Reach. I know it doesn't make sense to me either. And then Undergrowth. When you cast this spell, reveal the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. You may put a green permanent card with converted mana cost X or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So you're already paying 7. This is like a really crappy like Coco or Kamal's Druidic Vow kind of. And then, you know, you can't really control it. Like, it's not like, oh, you just paid enough and now you're gonna hit, like with the old Nissa Planeswalker. So boy, I don't like the unreliableness. If somebody cleared your graveyard, or if you were tossing stuff out of your graveyard, or if you're resurrected too many things, you might whiff on this. And I mean, it's only a 5/7 for 7. Like, when you get to 7, it better just about single-handedly win the game. And this is just kind of like a combat stall card. Like, it's not horrible, but I really don't think it's very good. If you ramped into it and ended up like with like 3 Llanowars and paying 4 for it, I guess it'd be worth it. But what's the point of ramping into it if you didn't build up your Undergrowth count? And if you've got like Mana Dorks out, how did you fill up your graveyard? What's in your graveyard? The synergy on this is just not there. I mean, I can't remember the last time they printed a spider that wasn't crap outside of the Delirium one. So moving on, Justice Strike. Oh, I like that artwork. Damn. Too bad I'm sure in Wizard's mind this is basically Social Justice Strike, but anyway, this is a 2-cost instant, Boros colors, target creature deals damage to itself equal to its power. Oh, here we go. Yeah, we've seen this before. It's not a direct reprint, but it's basically a functional reprint, or a very similar reprint, I should say. I want to say the last one was in Eldritch Moon, but it might have been long enough ago that it was like Theros or something. But I played that card, and it was hilarious, and it was like comically unreliable. Somebody would bring out some frickin' unstoppable 5/6 or like some double striker or something and you wouldn't be able to get it, but most stuff is symmetrical and most really big threats have a higher attack than toughness. So you're going to be able to get rid of what, like 70, 80, 90% of stuff that you actually care about, but there's going to be just that annoying little like 4/6 that you just can't get rid of and it's going to piss you off. Still, it's creature destruction for 2 and you can always sideboard it out. I say mainboard it. I love everything about this spell. It's hilarious. I will warn you, if I recall the rules correctly, if it has lifelink, they will gain life. So there's that. And I will also warn you that when you do this, not in response, but after the resolution of a pump spell that only boosts attack, like they cast Sure Strike on it, and then that's enough to let you blow it up, they will potentially flip the table. Yeah, we had somebody rage out at my old LGS when it would have been lethal. It was their biggest, most important card, and I was holding one card in hand. It was whatever the hell functional card this was, and then they boosted it, I blew it up, and they just said, screw it, they forfeited, and they actually didn't even go to the second game. They were so pissed off. Oh, by the way, the whole game I was basically top decking miracles. I think I had like Banishing Light or something and got rid of the other threat that would have killed me. I just kept dodging bullets with top decks and they were just like super not having that. And I hated them. So, I mean, I'll admit it. I was being a complete ass about it, but you know where I was at. You know what the people are like. All right. I was not the bully in that situation. So next up we got Crowell Harpoonier. I bet that's Harpooner. So this is a 3/2 insect soldier for 2. It has reach, which is ridiculous because 1, it looks like it flies, and 2, that harpoon is what? You could reach 8 feet off the ground with it? Like, just fly slightly higher than that. That's stupid. And then I love how they're like, okay, a harpoon is not like a javelin. It's not a bow. Like, how are we going to explain why this has reach? So they just made him like climb a tree and then they got bats in the background. Yeah, that explains it. Good job, Wizards. I bet they told the artist, here, just make it look like this could kill flying stuff. He's like, I don't know, it's in a tree, I don't know. So anyway, this says Undergrowth, so it's a 2-cost Undergrowth, which you're probably like, oh, cool, finally something low curve. How many creatures could possibly be in your graveyard on turn 2? I mean, what is the point of this? You're going to have to throw this out and basically just be like, okay, screw Undergrowth. But that's fine, because it's a 3/2 with reach for 2. I mean, whatever. So if you did bring this out late game, cool. Choose target creature you don't control with flying, and it gets plus X attack until end of turn, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Then you may have Crowell Harpooner fight that creature. Why would you ever want to do that? What the hell? Why would you ever want that to happen? I almost wonder if that was mistranslated. Choose target creature you don't control with flying. So your opponent's flying creature, give it a metric ass ton of plus attack. By the way, this doesn't say may, okay? This is mandatory. If you have a valid target, you are doing this, period. I take back what I said about missing the Undergrowth trigger. Yeah, you'd want to miss this. So then you force fight it, and if it had more than 3 toughness, you basically just killed yourself. Because, yeah, they're probably going to swing for like 10. Oh, this is really something. This has got to be one of the worst cards that they printed in the set, by far. This is so odd. It's like bring it out on turn 2, or it's a dead card late game if your opponent's playing flyers. Otherwise, it's honestly not even that good late game. So next up, we got Luz de Giao. I don't know how them squiggles and crap work. Portuguese is just an absolute dumpster fire of just symbols and shit. It's close enough to Spanish that I can tell you it means Light of the Legion. Hold on, let me pull up the actual translation. Hey, I was right. It's a 6-cost angel, 5/5 with flying. Damn, it also has Mentor. No problem there with 5 attack. And when this dies, put a 1/1 counter on each white creature you control. Hey. Mono white, man. You bring this in with Banalish Marshal, you might have a little something. I like this. I think I might build something like this. I mean, even in mixed color, like a Convoke deck, I mean, this ain't no joke. The problem is you can't Convoke this, and if you're counting on Convoke to be there, you're probably running kind of short lands and no way to ramp to 6, so that's a little rough. In fact, I mean, in my mono white no ramp deck, because white doesn't really ramp, I don't really have a way to get to even 5 for Crested Sun Mirror reliably. So if you put this in basically anything that's mono white, you're gonna probably have to run like 23 lands minimum. But there's some other good 5/6 cost angels, so it'd be worth it. You could just have a really big late game. So I don't know. It's an obscure deck, but it might do something. Otherwise, honestly, not that great of a card, but Mentor's huge. I mean, that's pretty killer. So yeah, you can get some combat done with this. I just think 6 is a little unrealistic. So next up we got Abafamento Malicioso. So that translates from Portuguese to Abracadabra Bad Guy. So I read this incorrectly the first time. Instead of saying this is the second best spell Is It has, I'm going to say it's the dead last worst spell that you would ever put in Is It ever. And honestly, it's counterproductive for Dimir too, so I would just not play this. It's a 4-cost instant speed double blue, because, they had to power this down. Counter spell, counter target spell, okay, cool. Exile it, cool. And then you can shuffle up to 4 target cards from your graveyard to your library. Okay, doesn't Is It care how many instants and sorceries are in your graveyard? Like, the higher the better, so pretty counterproductive there. And then just because they were shuffled in your library doesn't mean you're going to cast them again. And if they're such good cards and you already cast them and then they're in your graveyard now because you cast them, why the hell didn't you win the game yet? I don't see a point to this spell. I don't see what it would do in any deck. Other than like, this spell is so important, I needed to go off so many times, it's so crucial that I need to scry/surveil my way to it again and cast it again. But like, if you already cast 3 of them, like how did you even get that many in your hand in the first place? If you cast 2 of the same card, I mean, theoretically it should take 30 cards to do that on average, because you would have, there's 4 in your deck, so it should be approximately every 15 plus or minus variance. But reliably in general, if you were to play 10,000 games, it would be every 15 cards. And then like plus or minus Sigma level, it's a whole thing. But basically, like, you're bringing back 1 card in most cases, like 1 important card, and then it's like, what, 1 of 45 left in your deck? You're not going to scry to that if it ended up on the bottom. So I just do not see a point to this card at all. Yeah, cue everybody in the comments section telling me what card this works perfectly with. I don't care. Next up, absolute bullshit card here, Risk Factor. Guess what colors this is going to go in? I'll give you a hint. Is it 3-cost instant, rare because target opponent may have Risk Factor deal 4 damage to them. If that player doesn't, you draw 3 cards. Obviously, you would want this to deal 4 damage to you. You do not want to reload them with 3 more spells or ramp them a mana. I mean, every 3rd card in your deck, 1/3 of your deck in general is a land, so they're probably going to pull a land this way and then ramp even higher. All the best Is It cards cost 6 and exactly 6. You don't want to help get him there, but then again, one of Is It's things is burn, so it's got a bit of a red winds thing with the creatures too and prowess and all that, so there is no good answer to this. You take 4 damage, you're closer to losing. You give them 3 cards, you're really close to losing. I hated the Red Gear Hulk, and I hate this card. And they're probably going to be able to cast this for 1 or 2, and they're probably going to clone it. So, thanks for that, Wizards. 4 damage direct to the opponent's face, non-reroadable to a Planeswalker for 3 at instant speed is still really good, and that's what's going to happen every single time. Next up, Rock Charger, which, it's 1/3 flyer for 3. Doesn't matter because it's going to stomp anything you'd ever put this in. I could say that about literally every card that we spoiled so far. So, whenever Rock Charger attacks target attacking creature without flying, gains flying until end of turn. It's basically, something Pegasus, whatever. They keep printing versions of this. Ooh, your biggest, baddest creature has flying. Cool. Too bad you can't really rely on it, and you probably should have just given it trample, first strike, or double strike. And oh boy, you just spent 3 mana to deal 1 in the air, and if they have a bigger flyer than this, you're probably going to lose both creatures. So, yeah, not a very good card. Next up, whatever the hell this says, it's Undercity Uprising. Oh, look, it's Vraska. Yay. If they live in, quote, the Undercity, you know what they should probably do? Just drop a bunch of fire grenades down there. Just smoke them out. Just, you know how you, like, you fumigate for cockroaches? Just do that in the sewer system below Ravnica. You know why? Because screw Golgari, that's why. So this costs 4, it's a sorcery. Creatures you control gain death touch until end of turn. Oh, it's a shame that's sorcery speed. Target creature you don't control farts. Oh my god, I've read too many cards today. Nope, it instead fights target creature you don't control. Is it just me or is that phrased backwards compared to the normal way of phrasing that? So chronologically, all your creatures gain death touch and then you force fight one of their creatures. Yeah, I was actually kidding before. This basically has to be sorcery speed. You would just demolish them in combat if this was instant speed. So no ambush here, but do you need it? You just, rammed their 10-10 into your 1-1 and traded, and now they have to deal with combat also and can't block the rest of the stuff. Just keep in mind, whatever took damage in the force fight, you're now going to send into combat, and it already has damage on it. But I think the whole point of this is it has Death Touch, who cares? So yeah, this is damn good. I don't see how it really fits into a Golgari deck with the graveyard stuff and the growth, but it's a good spell, and you might be able to put in something. I mean, the fact that Wizards made it a common makes me think that they don't think it really slots directly into anything either, but it's a good card. I mean, it's not bad. Maybe it'll go in something. So next up, Unmoored Ego, and boy, are people talking about this, not just because of the freaky nightmare fuel weird imagery, but also because it's 3-cost sorcery and choose a card name. And then instead of they can't cast it, which would have been the polite, non-time wasting version of this, no, search target opponent's graveyard, hand, and library for up to 4 cards with that name and exile them. That player shuffles their library, then draws a card for each card exiled this way, or I should say from their hand this way. So if you got rid of it from their hand, they get a replacement. This is either a reprint or a functional reprint. They had a card virtually identical to this years ago. I know because I hit someone with it, and they ended up drawing like 3 cards because they had 3 copies of it. It was really funny. They made it very clear to me that they would have preferred to hold those 3 cards. That's why I named it. So you do have to name the card ahead of time. You can't look at their hand and then name it, or look at their deck then name it. But here's the thing. It is more tactically beneficial to have, instead of that card literally removed from their library so that it's no longer a thing, it's gone, it's removed from the game, it's better to have them draw it and not be able to cast it. It's a dead card. They just drew nothing. The card does nothing for them, unless they get a benefit from like discarding it or something or whatever. So I prefer drawing dead. I also prefer to not have somebody go through my entire freaking library, know every single card in it plus the quantity, take all the time they want to perfectly legally take notes on every single card, and then walk away from the game with a deck list. I mean, that is utterly ridiculous. All this, like, what, Dispossess and that other one, Lost Legacy, nobody should ever be able to look through your entire freaking library. That should never occur ever again on a card as long as Wizards is printing the game. They just need to stop with that crap. Depending upon the judge at a tournament, it's like a 3 to 5 minute complete waste of time. They are writing as fast as they can. It's technically legal, so depending upon who you get, they won't give them a slow play warning, and it's part of the game. It is what it is. That whole mechanic of a search your entire opponent's library is 100% bullshit. It's a waste of time. And then even worse, I feel like I should be taking notes, but I don't want to be that guy who's like pretending that we're at the Pro Tour, even though we're at F&M, and I'll just look for this card. I'll just let you look through it. Hell no, I want to see what your entire deck is. Why wouldn't I? I don't know what the hell you're running, so that I get to waste time looking through your deck slowly and stalling everybody out. And I hate this card. Unfortunately, I love this card because it's a name jammer, and you guys know I love name jammers because it takes this gimmicky glass cannon overpowered bullshit and just doesn't let them win with it. I mean, right now, if this is in standard, you name Scarab God, it's over. The game's over, they're done. Approach of the Second Sun, they're done. They can't win the game. Teferi, they probably can't win the game. And Meddling Mage, FYI, is $35 right now, okay? Name jammers are really, really, really good, and people are finally pulling their head out of their ass and realizing that. I think when I bought them, they were $5. Yeah, it turns out for 2 mana, not letting your opponent cast the card they need to win the game is pretty good. Like $35 good. Who would have thought? So yeah, you're completely shredding their entire deck with this. I mean, they might as well just forfeit. You're getting rid of their win conditioner, you get rid of their bomb, and a lot of decks will win without it, but not all of them. So yeah, the problem is, if you don't know what deck it is, this isn't very good until bare minimum game 2. So this card promotes spying and sharing of information and generally being an asshole at F&M. I mean, you go up to your friend, you're like, hey, I gotta play this guy next round. I just got paired against him. What is he playing? What does his deck do? And they're like, oh, his win condition is this. And you're like, okay, cool, I'll name that. Technically not against the rules, but incredibly dickish. So not only do you get to waste time, take notes, stall out the game, and nuke their win condition, but it also encourages being an asshole. What a wonderful card, Wizards. Thanks for this. The best thing is, unlike Meddling Mage, you can't undo this. The cards are gone. This is a sorcery. It's a one and done. This is not on the field and you can't blow it up. So yeah, this is just 100% dickish. I hope nobody plays it. I mean, they just never should have designed a card like this. This is what happens when pro players are hired by Wizards to design and test cards. They think shit like this is okay because they don't even know what F&M is. They don't know 99% of their customer base, what they think is fun and acceptable, and what they think is bullshit and annoying. I'm sure this will be wonderfully fun and interesting at the Pro Tour. You know, that thing that nobody goes to. Whatever, I'm sick of talking about this disgrace. Hopefully they ban it. Next up, Wand of Vertebrae. Oh boy, it's a 1-cost artifact. Fantastic, just in time to not have improvise. Tap it, put top card of your library into graveyard. Cool. Dimir Golgari, wonderful. And pay 2, exile Wand of the not the Vertebrae, whatever, who cares. And shuffle up to 5 target cards from your graveyard into your library. So recycle something. What is this, anti-mill? I mean, they're probably milling you for more than 5. I don't really get the point of that, other than, oh, you might get to cast it again. At least it's 5 cards. If they blew up your best creature, you might see it again, but is it even worth paying 2? Probably not. So it's not good enough to save you from mill, and it's not good enough to really truly get something back. I mean, it would have to go from your graveyard to your hand for me to consider it really getting it back. But the self-mill to just tap 1 every turn, I mean, you're doing it blind, but still. I think people playing Surveil might play this, maybe. It's hard to say. Next up, we got Dragonauts. Oh boy, it's an Is It card. Can't wait to see what this does. So it's a 3-cost 1/3 flyer without prowess. Just kidding, it has prowess, I lied. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Dragonauts gets +2 until end of turn, so it's actually double prowess. Yay! Fuck you, Wizards! You could legitimately, with Goblin Electromancer in play on turn 2, win the game on turn 4 with this stupid horseshit card. Thanks, Wizards. Is It needed to get even worse? Fuck you. The list of cards they're going to have to ban to shut down Is It is at like 5. I mean, would they even do it at this point? Because we already know it's a given that Is It is going to ruin Standard completely. It's going to make it completely and utterly unplayable. It's just, will they have the balls to ban the number of cards required to actually fix the problem? Because remember, they didn't weaken Red Rush enough. They banned some stupid bullshit Desert and some Raptor that nobody played and called it fixed. And then they didn't ban Chain Whirler, and they made it worse, and Red Rush is still ruining the game to this day. So will they just ban 1 card and say it's fixed, and then have it continue to ruin everything, and then have to ban another card, you know, kind of like a Marvel thing, where they're like, well, clearly the problem is Emrakul, not, you know, getting spells for free. Bunch of fucking idiots working there, seriously. So next up, like it fucking matters because this isn't Is It, so you won't be able to play it anyway, and you won't be able to win the fucking game with it, so who gives a shit what this does, but I'm gonna read it anyway just for, I guess, curiosity's sake. This is X, green, white, creature elemental, convoke. Oh, wonderful. Gotta have that convoke X in there. I remember that. They had that last time around. It enters battlefield with X/1/1 counters on it, so it's like a really shitty Hydra. So basically it gets +1 counter for every creature you have in play, and then you don't get to attack that turn, but you won't need to because this will be like a 7/7 when you bring it out. And also dump the rest of your mana into it. It's probably a 10/10. Doesn't have trample, don't really care, but this is one of the better convoke spells, so of course it's going to go in a convoke deck. It's not that great. It's playable. I mean, that's why it's an uncommon, not a rare. Oh, thank God, that's the last one for today. So I gotta get caught up on some older spoilers, and there are 2 cards that I purposely omitted from this because they just deserve their own video. Oh, I bet you know which ones they are. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next rant.